ask you some good questions here.
Okay.
Good morning. This is Jeremy Marquez with J Marqeting. I call you close. We call you close. Power prospecting. We are live here with Luis Giovanni Hernandez out of Southern California. Luis and I have engaged in power prospecting, and we're going to start doing some training. Today's our setup call, and I'm not going to be talking to you guys too much. I'm really just going to focus on Luis and help him get his platform set up, and you guys get the privilege of just observing and seeing how this part of the training works. So, Luis, you were saying that before you decided to get your real estate license, you were doing different things, barista, different jobs. Let me just ask you straightforward. Since you're 25 years old, what's the most you've ever made in 1 month before taxes? Straight up.
See, less than 2,000, I'd say.
Less than
Yeah.
$2,000, okay? I want you to write that down, please.
Yeah.
Write that down. Don't type it. Write it down. We're doing this. It's more just like, you know. I've never done this. I just want you to write it down. I want you to keep that piece of paper, and we're going to look back at that piece of paper every month. All right.
Give me one moment.
Go ahead. So, the most you've ever made before taxes in 1 month in your entire life was less than $2,000. Okay. And was that just from one job, or did you have different jobs? You pieced that 2,000 together.
No, that was just from one job, and then on top of that, we'll just do like different jobs on the weekends. Because I used to live with my landlord, like, you know, renting a room, but
Okay.
he used to do landscaping, so I would just ask him if he had any.
Like side jobs.
Yeah, side jobs. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so money is not my only motivator.
Yeah.
You know, it is a huge motivator, and it was more of a motivator when I early in my sales career, but in the last 5 years, and we'll get to know each other a little bit more on that front, but in the last 5 years, my motivation has really shifted. My mindset is, man, as long as I'm helping enough people, and as long as I'm in the right vehicle, like if I set myself up right, and as long as I'm helping enough people within that vehicle, the money's going to be there. Okay? I'm confident that now I'm in the right lane, right? I'm doing the right services. I'm working with the right people. And as long as I do enough of the right things, helping enough of Lewis's people, which helps Luis, and more of you, by default, the commas and the zeros will be there. Okay? And I can't focus on that as much anymore because now I'm in a business of serving others. Okay? So the question is, less than 2K, other than money, what made you decide, and besides not working for somebody anymore, why did you decide to go into commercial real estate?
I never thought I actually would like it. It just sparked my interest for some reason. So,
Are you interested in homes? Are you interested in interior design? Are you interested? What part of it do you find interesting?
I've been analyzing, into doing the numbers.
You're a numbers guy.
Yeah.
Did you go to school?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I dropped out.
Me too.
I didn't like it.
Hey.
I was studying biomechanics and biophysics, but it was just not my thing. And then on top of that, you know, the amount of $400 for a physics book, just did not have the money for that. I felt like it was just a waste of time for me.
Right. So a little bit about me, man. Like, I started working when I was 16.
Yeah.
I got my first telemarketing job when I was 16. I share that all the time, man. But I was still in school. I ended up taking that test and finished to leave school early because for me, and my parents know this, so I can talk about this now. But I would get ready to go to school, man, and I would get up and I would go to school, but I usually wouldn't go to school. You know, there was so much exciting stuff happening outside of school. That was just me, you know.
Yeah,
I was exploring, you know, I was learning, observing my own way in life, you know, and I wouldn't go back on it. I've taken college courses. I'm a few units away from an associate's. That's not my way, you know. I can always go back and do that. As I work on my license in the next few months, that's something that, you know, I'll have to take a few classes, whatever. But that's not, you know, what we're doing. I don't see it being necessary. At some point, maybe it will be like a personal thing, you know. So now you're in commercial real estate. When did you start working with CBI?
Back in November.
Did you start with CBI?
No, I did not. I started with residential brokerage that was like around like 5 minutes away from where I currently live in Fullerton.
So you were initially going to be residential.
Residential, yeah.
Tell me about that. What happened there, if you don't mind?
I got nothing out of it.
Did you put anything into it?
I did.
Were you grinding? Were you calling? Were you doing that?
Pretty much. I did not know about like Mojo Dollar and all the cold calling type of stuff.
You hadn't found me yet.
Nope.
Tell us about that, man. So a few weeks ago, he found me. Would you find me on Instagram?
No, I found you on. I honestly just looked up cold calling on YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube. Okay. Yeah, and then I was doing a session. I started. This is before I had a little more time, early in January, and I was doing a session, and basically I converted a lead in Luis's market, and now he's working that lead. So here we are. And
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you guys that are watching the stream, this is part of the training. The first meeting that we have, it's really an opportunity for us to dive in, get to know each other. But the big thing also is optimizing the platform. Okay, in a moment I'm going to share the screen. We're going to dig into Mojo. I'm going to show him the ins and the outs. We're going to set it up, and you guys are going to be able to observe what we're doing here. So with that being said, when did you actually get access to Mojo? When did they give you that?
Just no, yesterday, Wednesday.
Okay.
There you go.
So let's see here. You guys should be able to see Mojo. I gotta fix the view here. Give me 1 second. All right, let me see what that view looks like. Have you done anything since you've had access to it?
I just imported the lists that I have, but I was trying to separate them by zip code. It's because I know like certain areas very well.
Okay. Have you made any dial sessions?
I made like 5 calls this morning.
Before this, what were you using? Just like a Excel sheet, or how are you working?
Yeah, Excel sheet.
Old school, dude. I don't mind working like that, actually. You know, it takes a little bit slower, but those steps, I don't mind working off an Excel sheet, and you know, it's I can go back to that if I needed to. You know. Now it's obviously more efficient having a Mojo, having a Red X, having a Lions, you know, having this technology. But let's think about it. Have you ever seen the movie Glengarry Glen Ross?
I have not.
Dude, have you heard of it?
I've never heard of it.
Why are you laughing?
I've never heard of it. That's why, because everyone asks me always like, yeah, have you watched this movie? And I'm like, I've never watched
So
that many movies.
your assignment tonight, as part of our training, or tomorrow, or before next week, is to watch Glengarry Glen Ross.
And Glenn Ross?
It's just Glengarry Glen Ross. You type it in, it will pop up, man. It has Pacino in it. It has Spacey in it. It has a couple of big name actors. So it's a setting in the 80s of old school realtors. And these guys are hitting the phones. They're selling land. And they're hustling, man. And Pacino is like a sab, and he's a really good. So it's a good real estate sales movie. And when I make references to put that coffee down, coffee's for closers, and you see Alec Baldwin making his little speech, that's from the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. And so on Saturday Night Live, they always do a parody of it in the wintertime. Put that cocoa down. It's from the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. That might date me a little bit, man, but most salespeople, most real estate salespeople, that's one of their top two go-to movies, man. It's a good movie, especially to watch with the team, man. You hang back and just watch it with a couple of your colleagues, just kind of like watching Boiler Room or something like that. All right. So, a big part of my training and a big part of what we're going to be doing, yes, I'm going to help you with Mojo. Yes, I'm going to help you with working through different scripts and helping you through different situations. But a lot of my training, man, it's going to be mindset. Okay, it's helping you understand the mindset that I need to have, that you need to have. Understanding the mindset of the people that we're reaching out to, because a lot of this, once we build a skill set, once we continue upon of doing it daily and getting better, then there's things we can look at which will help us get better. Small stuff, we can practice over time. The psychology of sales. I call it Jedi mind sales because it's fun, man, and it allows me to find things that keep me interested in my business. Because these cold calls, what we do, man, let's be real. This can become, with the word, I think it's monotonous, or it can be something we have to keep ourselves entertained somehow. And it's not just by having a good call.
I probably do.
We got to be able to be spontaneous. And sometimes I'll just be talking to myself. Sometimes I'll just be whistling, and I know when I'm doing my lives, people are like, man, this guy's a weirdo. And I'm like, no, man, I'm doing whatever I got to do to keep myself in the game. Like, I'm just having fun. Sometimes I'll have a call with somebody knowing that it's not going to go anywhere, but I'll just talk to them just to entertain myself. So a lot of the stuff, the reason why, people have chose to work with me is because I've been in the trenches doing it. And so now you have me in your pocket as somebody who's been there who can shed light on insight and hopefully, save you time with doing stuff, or if there's situations that you're in dealing with a lead, or, I can help you work through certain things. But dude, a lot of what you're going to get off of me is really up here. And then taking it to Luis, and then internalizing everything that I bring to you, and then making it your own, because I can sit here and we can put together scripts and we can put together all this stuff, but I like to keep it really simple and to have a lot of repetitions, and then working through specific situations, and then more repetitions. And then over time, man, we'll be able to look back every month. We'll look at the numbers, and we'll see the improvements, and we'll look at the pipeline, and we'll look at the progress. And yeah, man, I want to help you try to get deals in the pipeline now, and if we can, great. But that's not my focus. I don't even care if you set appointments right now. My goal initially is to get you set up, get you comfortable with Mojo, get you dialing 200 plus calls every single day, just making those calls. Because if you're making those 200 dials a day, I'm just throwing a number out there, don't get worried about it. But 200 dials is easy with a dialer, man. You can do that in 2-3 hours if you're not talking to nobody. But if you're talking to some people, then it's different. Now, if you focus just on the number, okay, today I'm making 200 calls. Not today I'm going to set 2 appointments and get 1 listing. Nope. Today I'm going to go in and make 200 dials because Jeremy, that's all he cares about. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about those 200 dials. Or next week, then I'm going to have 1,200 calls to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, within those 1,200 dials, there's probably going to be 40, 50 conversations. Within those 40, 50 conversations, we can break some of those down and have stuff to work with. You know? So that's the idea here. We're gonna walk through your Mojo and make sure that the call recording's on. I'm gonna show you some ins and outs here. You're gonna be able to ask me any questions, and I'm gonna like point stuff out. So during this little session, I don't have a format. I don't have a script I'm reading. I'm going through Mojo with you, looking at how things are set up, pointing things out to you. So at any point, if you're like, hey, what is this? Or how do I do this? I'll either stop and explain, or we'll go back to it and we'll explain. But after this session is done, hopefully you understand, you feel more comfortable with Mojo. Hopefully you feel more comfortable with starting a dial session, basically the mechanics of Mojo, okay? And then I'll show you how to set up how I do different things in Mojo with filters, with different things that could hopefully save some of your dial time, optimizing, you know, the time you're spending. Because when it comes to time, that's huge, man. That's what we got, right? You know, you only have so many hours in the day to get done what you need to get done. So optimizing the calls that you're making and the time that you're spending doing that is huge. You know, a few minutes a day, a few hours a week equates to whatever. You know, just like if you get up a few hours earlier, that gives you an extra month in the year. You know, simple stuff like that. I don't pay too much attention to it, but it's real, you know, especially in the sales and marketing game. And you said you've never done any sales, but you have, man. As a barista, you're selling all day. As a barista, your customer service, you're getting to know those guys. You know their drink before they come in. You're hoping for that tip because you have them all set up, because that's where you make most of your money, probably, is on tips. You know what I mean? And so when you do little stuff like that, now, so you've been doing sales. You just haven't been picking up the phone and doing cold call sales. You know, you've been dealing with people.
Yeah.
You know, you've been communicating. So it's just you're going to start doing something different, of course, but you know, you've been doing sales. All right. Any questions right now? Any thoughts? Anything? You got anything?
No, just get started.
All right. So on the Google, are you able, is it big enough to where you can see?
Yeah, it's big enough, yeah.
Okay. So when you log in, you have your home screen, and it will give you a stream of activity. I usually don't pay too much attention to this page, but over time, it's a shortcut to where you can go back and access like a lead that you had worked on earlier. Okay. That's not usually where I navigate from. Now, Mojo, of course, they have their own support team, and they do webinars and stuff like that. So on your own time, definitely take advantage of that. You know, calendar yourself a training webinar, and they'll go through different things. Because take advantage of what they're offering is what I'm saying. Because you know, this thing is going to be your tool to be able to generate your business. So let's go over here first. Now, this is a agent account off of the main account, isn't it? Or is it its own? Yeah. Is it a separate account?
No, it's what you just said.
Okay. So some changes we may not be able to make. So you may need to make note and then request from the admin if that's the case.
Okay.
But we'll look. So the 310, is that your number there? The 8547?
Yeah.
Okay. So suggestion. Mojo has what's called Mojo Voice, and they provide a phone number. It's a paid service. It's an option. However, I don't use that option. Usually what I do, and the reason why you want to have a different number when you're dialing rather than just your direct number is...
Oh, no, it's a number from what they gave me over here at the brokerage, but still, regardless, it will still connect to my phone, just in case someone calls.
So explain to me what the number is. That's why I need to know that. So is it attached to like a... what software?
It's called United. That's what it's called. But
do you have access to that? Like while you're dialing, can you have it open to see when they call you back or send text messaging? Is there a platform?
Yeah. pretty much what it is, yeah.
Let's do something. Well, make note, and I want to come back to that because part of this setup is this right here. Because here's what I do usually. I'm using a number such as Google Voice. Okay, so let's say I have a new call campaign and an agent hires me to call. I usually open up a Google Voice account to get that Google Voice number. Okay, and then I'm using that there for the caller ID. And then when they call back, I'm able to open Google Voice up and send text and stuff like that. And it's a separate number than my mobile because I don't necessarily want everybody calling my personal number back that I called, right?
Yeah.
Especially if I'm calling in different markets. So that's why I use a different number for the local number too. So the key is here with that phone number is what you can do with it because there's training specific that I need you to be able to do with that number, such as sending text. Are you able?
Yeah, I'm able to send text. It's like this little.
Okay.
It's my personal number.
So if they call you back, are you going to see them calling back in that app?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about that for a minute. I don't answer when they call back if I'm in a dial session, but I want to be able to track it. So you can track when people call you back. So after you can go back and work through it.
Yes.
Okay. Or let's say you continue on your dial session and then you have the United app open. Are you able to like engage with the text with them?
Yeah, it has a text option over here.
Okay, perfect. So it will be able to do the same stuff that I'm doing with Google Voice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And so it does also forward to your mobile when they call that number. You can set it up like that.
Yeah, it's connected from this one and then also the office phone.
Perfect. And so that's great. So then we won't need to use Google Voice. So that's set up. So over time, if you wanted to add another number there, you can have as many numbers as you want for your Mojo number. And then when you start your dial session, you can switch the caller ID number. And the reason why you may want to do that, because in retail real estate, sometimes people, even me, sometimes I'll change the number up. Let's say I go through the list 10 times, right? And then I didn't talk to them. Maybe I'll change the number up to see if they'll answer. But at the end of the day, there's a psychology to that. Do I really want to talk to that person that's hiding from me anyways? I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different on the commercial side, of course. But as far as the psychology, right? But if it's a 5-unit or a 1-unit, there's a lot of it's still the same. But the psychology and the emotions and the motivation to sell is usually much different, And now, just because I make statements like that doesn't mean that I'm the expert. That's just my opinion, man. All right. So you got the phone number there. Can you check, make note, can you ask your admin because we're not going to be able to see it here, I don't think. Let me check. As far as the call recording, on their end, they may have to switch it on, and it may be $20 a month. If it is, please offer to pay for it because it's going to be huge for us if they're not willing to do it.
Okay.
Because on my end, because this is not the admin account, we can't even see it, but there's usually a section here for call recording, I think. Oh, here it is, call recording. Let me see if they have it on. Oh, looks like they have it on. Let's see if we're able to pull a report. Okay, so we'll have to see after you make some calls. But it looks like that your calls should be recorded, and it would make sense that they would have it on because they probably want the calls recorded. Is it your broker or one of your colleagues?
Broker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he probably has it on. Good. So part of the accountability in the program, Luis, is, and I'll put this together in an email for you after this, but starting Monday, I'm going to ask you to send me a daily report.
Okay.
This daily report we'll have a daily report. But the key, what we're talking about is I want you to include a couple of addresses or names, or hey, go listen to this one. And so then I'll go into your Mojo and I'll go listen to them. And so for the first few weeks, now I'm not going to sit there every single day and spend an hour listening to your calls, but I want you to send me like a positive one and a negative one, or if there's like a special one, hey, I did not know how to handle this one, and could you go listen to it? Things like that, and I'll go in and I'll go listen to it. And so not only will we do the live training, but there will be times where I'll just go back and critique your calls and send you an email, or if it's something specific, I might bring it up in conversation.
Okay.
And it's good to listen to your own calls too. It's painless, it's painful. It's going to be painful, but it's going to be good, because especially if you listen to them now and then you listen to them in a month and then you listen to them in 6 months. I go back, I'll listen to my calls and I critique myself all day. I'm like, damn it, I should have done this, should have done that. And then when the situation comes up again, usually the bell rings and I'm like, okay, and I'm able to convert it this time, right? And so it helps me get better to listen to my own stuff too. So yeah, I'm going to listen to your stuff and we'll talk about it, but it's there for you to use to help yourself get better too. And hey, maybe even hey broker, or hey colleague, what do you think about this call? Something like that. But if they don't have time, you have me. Okay. Let's see here. And so this is where all your reports will be. And so as far as a session report, it's all pretty simple stuff. You can probably figure out how to do it, but you just go in there, you select yourself, and then you select a time frame, like today, and you would do it, and then a show report, and then it will give a report, and then you can just hit the print button and then send that over to me in the email. Or, we'll figure that out, but basically it will just get you in the habit of just sending a report. This many dials, blah, blah, blah. And it was just something that's going to start being a consistent thing that you're doing, which will add to helping you improve. Because my goal, and so like I said, I really only want you to focus on making a certain amount of dials every day. And when I say 200, that's probably a good number, but we'll figure that out. At the end of the day, I'm not going to say, hey, did you have any appointments? I'm like, hey, how many calls did you make today? Because I know if you made a certain amount of calls, that we're going to have some stuff to work through.
What do you think it's like a good time to start calling and calling?
Great question. So what's going to be your so it depends on the target, right?
Yeah.
So you're focusing on multifamily real estate, right? What's the units that you're focusing on right now?
8+ units.
In a specific area, or what's your target? What do they have you working on?
Culver City, Palms, Mar Vista, pretty much West LA, the area that I know, all
Okay.
the streets that I've driven through, all those type of things. I'm hitting first, but there's a lot of, obviously.
Yeah. So time of day is the time of day that you're calling. No.
Okay.
It's really, when somebody asks me that, we can say there's good times to call, because there are. Now, usually you want to call first thing in the morning. Okay? If you can get in there, if you can start dialing, but it's going to be a little bit different, because you're calling multifamily property owners. You're not necessarily, are they just are you doing kind of just straight cold calls into specific areas, or are these people that have their listings expire, or are they just farming calls? What are they? Are they
Very cold calls.
Okay, straight cold calls. You just pull data in the area. Did you guys list a property in the area? Do you have a sale in the area? Do you have something that you could talk about in the area?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a talking point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for that stuff, for you to start calling first thing in the morning is going to be good, just for you to be able to get in a habit of calling first thing in the morning. But in reality, those type of people, I don't necessarily think that it's going to be important that you start calling them first thing in the morning. That's going to be one of those things that we're going to play with. Starting Monday, let's say you call from 9 to 11:30.
Okay.
Let's just put that out there, and then let's say Tuesday, hey, let's switch it up, man. Let's call from 10 to 11:30. And then we can go back and look at it, or you can do it the same for a week. But my thought is, let's look at the numbers. Over the next week, we'll see, okay, Luis dialed from this time on Monday, on Tuesday, and then we'll look at the amount of calls you made, we'll look at the amount of conversations you had, and then you'll be able to really determine stuff, because it's really easy to look at the numbers, and the numbers will tell us what we need to be doing. So it's good just to have that information, just to have it on mind. And I don't need to pull it up right now because I don't want to waste too much time like digging into it. But the dial reports will show us all of that. Definitely, mid-morning and evening is going to be good. Okay, I would say for sure, because it's not even first thing in the morning with you guys, because I would say probably 3 to 7 is going to be fire.
3 to 7 p.m.
Maybe even 8 o'clock sometimes, because we're talking about LA, we're talking about investors. These people, they probably got stuff going in life in most cases. And so it's going to be really any time of the day. But if you want to pinpoint, I would say like early afternoon, late afternoon, evening is when they're going to start moving and shaking. Not necessarily at 8 a.m. Just a thought.
Yeah.
There's no real science to it, man. There's not. It's really going to depend on the market. It's going to depend on the type of target that you're calling. It's all going to be, and even then, it's not going to be no guaranteed time. When you're talking about, what we do, there is nothing set in stone, and it's going to be different for each person, right? I wish it was a science. There is some science to it, but it gets to we can't. It's like when one of my new clients, they're like, "Hey, Jeremy, how many appointments are you going to get me this month?" I'm like, "Man, there's no way I can tell you that number. And if it comes down to you hiring me, if I can tell you a number or not, let's not work together, because I can't guarantee what I can do for you." Give me a second here. All right, where are we at? So let's see what you got in here. Did they subscribe to anything, or do they just have what do you guys have?
What do you mean, like?
Let me just look. What you have Mojo, but did they subscribe to any of the leads, the searches, the tools, the dialer?
I'll just say dialer.
Okay, so you don't even have the ability to go in here and do any searching. Okay. So one tool that I would request is that neighborhood search, man. The neighborhood search is going to give you the ability to start searching for your own leads. And so what you can do is, it pulls up public record data. And so you can have, and you may have another way of doing this, but I hate the process of importing leads into these systems, because separating them and getting them to go into the right fields can be frustrating. Now, if you're
what it is right now,
and it's doable, but it's not. For me, it's something that I don't like doing, and I usually tell my clients that when they hire me, like, if you need to be doing that, or you need to have somebody in your team doing that, because I need to be calling. You don't want me spending time doing admin stuff, because I'm gonna get frustrated and not do it. And I tell them straight up. And so we can work through that. But dude, it's not easy, because what happens is you have a CSV or an Excel, and the fields don't match up, and you have to figure out which fields match up, and it can be frustrating.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was trying to figure out this morning too.
Now, Mojo will help you through that, I think, once or twice, if you want to reach out to their support, and they'll send you step by step the best way to do it. But that's not my department. Like, I usually delegate that to somebody else. So if you had, the neighborhood search is important. The skip tracer is also important. Even if you didn't, even if with for the leads that you have right now, if you had the skip tracer, you can run that data through the skip tracer, and it will give you more public records information, and that's only $50 a month. I understand that they just gave you this, but just keep in mind, Lewis, if I were you, man, that's something that you should look into. The neighborhood search tool will just give you the ability to start searching your own leads and have them already here in the system. You know what I mean? Now, we're going to work with what you got, but keep note of all this stuff that I'm suggesting because that'd be something that, I mean, if it's $80 a month, so what? Like that's the type of stuff that you would want to invest into for yourself. All right. So this is what you imported.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 20,000 records. 20,000 total records.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you put in there. That's what everybody's put in there, right? Not just your stuff, or is that just your stuff?
Yeah, everybody that.
Right.
From the list that I got.
Okay. So you have it in here as groups. Is that where you put them? Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the list right there. 8+ units. So there's 20,000 of those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see here. Okay, so usually I think we might have to just switch because you your data. Okay, so you see how it has call lists and they have groups. Groups is like where you put them after you disposed. You know what I mean? So that's why you have that appointment there, the future lead there, hot lead. Not the dispositions. So I think, and I don't know if it's important, but I think we want the 8+ units family folder to be over here in calling list.
Okay.
I think that's where we want it. Let me see here. Unless, yeah, because usually this is where usually everything's on the left in the call list, and it doesn't really matter, I guess. Let me just open one up. Because then, it doesn't really matter because after you talk to them, then you can dispose of them here. Then they'll go into that group. But this usually looks different. That's all I'm getting at, and that's fine. So after you talk to them, then you dispose of them. All right. I'm just observing what you have right now. Just kind of figuring things out. All right. So there's 8,000 here. 8,900. All right. Let me look at this. So the only things that you know about these is they're 8 units or more, and the geographic area, right?
Yeah.
Are they all in the same geographic area?
LA, yeah.
Is there a way? Yeah, LA. But is there a way? What do we have within LA? You have Venice. What else do you have in here?
Venice, Mar Vista, Culver City, Pasadena, Glendale, Eagle Rock.
Okay. I want to help you figure out a way to separate these by areas and have different call lists. Would that be helpful?
Yeah. Yeah, that I was trying to figure out that like just a while ago.
Let's talk about that. What things? Lay it on me. That would be helpful. So let's work through some of that stuff.
Okay.
So separating it by area, that'd be helpful? What other kind of stuff have you been working through?
That'd be very helpful for me to separate it. I think I tried, but
so
if you look up at Palms 90033 area.
Let's go to advanced. Okay. Find, create, import, find duplicates. Okay, so I think what I want to do here is I want to create a list just to test it create list, create folder, create list, create folder, create list, create folder. Let's create a list. Let's just call it Venice. We can go back and delete it. We'll just see what happens, how it looks. Okay, where did that list go? There it is. Okay, so now let's go back here. You're able to see my screen, right? What I'm doing. All right, cool. So now let's select all. And then now, no, let's do that. Property city. So there's Beverly. So there's, all right, so now it's by alphabetical backwards. There's the Dubs. Let's see if we can find the Venice. Okay, that's an easy way. Let's do 100. Let's see if they're here. Where are they? West Hollywood. Okay, there's got to be a different way to do this. Let's see. There's a lot of West Hollywood, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe we could do it. I mean, so there's by city, by zip code. Let's see. I think city's fine. Let's just. I want to figure out how to do it first, and then the strategy of doing it we'll figure out second.
Okay.
Like, well, I'm gonna figure out how to grab all of Venice and put it into Venice, and then from there we'll figure out a strategy with it to really kind of optimize. You know what I mean? So just stay with me here. You know, I'm just kind of creatively thinking of different things.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, there's Venice. So we got the Venices. So now what I want to do is I want to grab all the Venices and put them into Venice. Let's see if there's an easy way to do it. So without having those West Hollywoods in there. Do I gotta select them individually? Let's see. Okay, so I can select by control. That's gonna take fucking forever. Let's just try it though. So I gotta be a way to grab them all. Let's see. Advanced. Type your search. Venice. Let's just see. Submit. Okay, so it showed us 129. Okay. So let's select all. We don't want those guys. Just take them off. No, it won't let me do that. Select, not all. Let's select the page. Take these girls off. Alright. That's all Venice. So now let's assign to a list. Let's see if that works. And it should just copy. Let's see what it did though. Okay, so now we got Venice, so that worked. So that's one way of doing it. Let's see though. And I'm not positive that this is the strategy that you'd even want to go, but now that we can do it, you know, we can at least separate them by list, by geo.
I actually prefer it like that, honestly.
Like what?
Separate
Like I just did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a thought. It's just one thought, one way of separating it, and then what my other thought is within Venice. You could even separate it by zips if you wanted to get more specific, but I think that may be not necessary. But
No. I know the area pretty well.
so then like so you saw what I just did, right? So you can go. I mean, make a note if you chose to that's how you would do it. and you can get creative with it and have more. So you can have, you have West LA or Culver City, and then have your call list. So the idea here is you're not working from your groups, Lewis. The idea is you work from your lists, right? And then when you talk to somebody, like let's say you talk to Jan, right? And Jan's a future follow up. And now after you talk to Jan, you put whatever your notes are with Jan, and then so after you're done with her, you put her wherever. So you take her out of Venice, and now you're moving her into warm lead, right? And we'll just look at it and see what it did. So now she's out of Venice, and she got converted or disposed, whatever term you want to use. I use the word converted. Converted. Now she's over here. So now you're kind of moving her along, right? So now what you're doing is you're creating a system for yourself, a follow-up system within the system. So you've now created a list that you're working from, where you found Jan, right? And now you spoke to Jan and you moved her over there. And so now you're creating kind of a workflow. And so what we can do from there is we can create certain rules or certain things we do with all the warm leads every day, right? As part of our process of calling our new stuff, we're going to go back and touch these warm leads. We're going to go back and we're going to look at our hot leads. We're going to look at our future follow-ups on a daily basis. These buckets or these pipelines, whatever you want to call them, will start to grow, right? And you'll rotate your people. After you talk to Jan, oh, now Jan's a hot lead. Okay, now Jan's an appointment, right? And so you've created a little bit of a system within the Mojo system. You with me? And then, so I did it. I pulled over Venice, and you can do the same thing for, because Los Angeles is big. I wouldn't just have Los Angeles here. If I were you, I would see if I can do it by zip code. What's a zip code in LA?
Top of my head, I'll just say 90034.
What will one of these be in that area? Probably.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
West LA, Palms.
So let's see what it shows us, because let's say it's LA, but you want to break LA down, right? You don't want to have just an LA folder, so you can do a 90034 folder, right? And so now this is all 90034. You can select all. You don't have to just select the page. And let's create a list for it. Let's just do it. And you can go back and delete it later if you chose to. But that now, so you have a Venice list. Oh, but now you have a zip code list too. So you have a couple of different styles of doing it. Let's go back here and find our 90034s and then drop them in there. So we go to advanced, 90034, and if you forget how I'm doing these steps, we can go back and look at it. But you do this stuff over and over and over. It's gonna be
that was the thing I was trying to figure it out. And then I was doing from Excel and copy and pasting. I was listening to.
Yeah. Well, this will save you some time. But then now you're like, oh crap! But you can go back now and create. Get creative on your own, and create your own little system within the system I'm creating for you. That's usually what I do. I like when I start working with somebody, I find their structure, I look and see how they're doing things or a company's doing things, and I build my own system within what they're already doing, to help make it better, So 90034, I like that, man. I even like that more than just Venice, getting specific with the zip code.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, just for me, because I know certain streets, so I can pretty much bring a talking point up to hey, this restaurant or this coffee shop just opened, at this area and just this street, certain things like that.
That's perfect, and that's exactly dude, and that's what they want, and that type of stuff you need to bring that type of stuff to a conversation, and the key though is knowing when to bring that stuff to the conversation. And then getting back to the conversation, right? And when you get good at that, and if somebody's engaging in a conversation with you at that point, that's somebody you can work with, because you have to keep in mind, if somebody's staying on the phone with you for 30 seconds, a minute, and they're not getting off the phone, you got them in a conversation. Take advantage of that time, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so assign to list. Let's move all these over to the 90034. I didn't do that step. Okay. So now they're over here. Let's see. Okay, so now you got 360. Shit, you can just call these all day, and so you work your you work your 90034, and then you pop over to 90036 or whatever. And so this will give you. So now you're not just calling from 8-unit, just the big giant 20,000 lead list. I think that would help me, what we just did, and so you can do that even more and create a bunch of calling lists here. Let's see. Now, when you're looking at a lead, so we covered that. What questions do you have on the functions here? Do you have any? Do you understand? Well, you want to point anything out here? Understand how this stuff works.
Yeah, pretty much when it starts dialing, like I don't know how that really works.
Oh yeah. So in a session, you got a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start it up. Let's start a session real quick. Let's walk through it. All right. So this is usually entire list is usually what I do. So the difference is this. Okay, so selected records. So let's say you just selected the page, then you would only be calling the 100 on this page, or because that's what it's telling you. Do you want to call the entire list, or do you want to just call the ones that you selected, right? And so you can. There's no set way of doing it. I want you to, when you're working with Mojo, try different ways and explore. Oh, that's what that does. Oh, that's what that does. That's how I learn. You're not going to break it. You know what I mean? It's better to try to figure out how it all works so you can get comfortable with your tool. And the best way to do it is just by getting in there and maneuvering around, Yeah. Okay, so let's look at this. So this is going to be, let's say you had additional caller ID numbers and you wanted to add them in there. You can choose what's showing, right? And you can add a number. You can even add a phone number here from starting a dial session. Voicemail. And when we get done here, part of your homework is creating a voicemail. So make note of that, and I'll make sure to try to put it. I'll put it in the recap email. Callback message. What do you think that is? What do you think it is?
And then just select the number that called you, and you just call back, or remind you to call back.
You or your client?
Me. I have to call them back.
So what it is, callback message, you're wrong, but I'm going to explain it. So it's used with the multi-line dialer, okay?
Uh-huh.
With the multi-line dialer, 3 lines in this case, you've never used one, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Never.
It's fun. It allows you to reach more people, make more contacts, more dials, more conversations. We like it. So the callback feature, when you're calling, let's say 3 lines are dialing and Joanne answers. Steve and Tom, they're still getting called. I'm talking to Joanne. Steve answers, right? So instead of him not hearing anything, he'll hear a callback message. He'll hear a message saying, I do apologize. I had to pick up another line while I was calling you. I didn't want to hang up, but I will call you right back. Thank you. Something like that, okay? Or what a lot of people use is they pretend like there's an issue with the phone lines or there's an issue with the connection. Like, okay, so you're talking to Joanne. Your 3-line dialer is going. Steve answers. Steve's like, hello? But nobody's there because you're talking to Joanne. So the message that Steve hears is, hello? Hello? Like, can you hear me? Oh, man, there's some issues with the lines today. I do apologize. I'll call you right back. So you're lying to him. You're telling him that you had issues with your phones, and you're going to call him right back. That's an option. Another option is dead air, where they don't hear anything. And then, so what happens is with the 3-line dialer, the mechanics are this. Once you finish with that call that you're on automatically your dialer will call that person that answered. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So when you finish your call that you were on, by default, your dialer will automatically make that next call to the person who answered. So they had heard your callback message. They had either hear you say that you answered another call and you're calling right back. They either hear dead air and heard nothing and wondered what the heck it was, or they heard you saying that you had issues with your phone and you'll call them right back. Either way, they heard something, right? That's what the callback message is.
Okay.
So you're going to have a callback message in there. I would, my thought, and I'm always going to suggest this way first, is the truth. Just tell them, hey, I find transparency, and people love it. Like, hey man, I'm on a multi-line dialer. I answered another. You don't have to say that. I answered another call. I do apologize. I'll call you right back. You don't have to say much else. They're gonna think it's weird. They might not. They might think it's frustrating. They might not like it. They might not answer when you call back. But to me, I feel like weighing it out. Okay, because of that, do we just not use a 3-line dialer? No. I feel like there's still cases where I want to use a 3-line dialer. There's still some times where I want to be able to make a lot of calls, and I'm not really too concerned about potentially pissing a few people off because they had dead air. To me, it weighs out the positive of using it much more than the negative. After a month, after 2 months, you can weigh that out for yourself. My suggestion is, in some cases, we're going to use the 3-line. In some cases, you're going to use the single line. Example. When you're calling stuff that you haven't called before, like if you're going through it for the first time, I usually use just the single line dialer because I want to kind of take my time with it and not burn through my leads. Now, if I just want to make a bunch of calls and I want to try to turn as much business up as possible, if I'm going through like older stuff that I'm just rehashing through, then I'm going to have that 3-line dialer on because my goal is to have a lot of dials to see what we can churn up. If it's a leads list that maybe you paid some money for, maybe your broker invested some money in it and you don't want to burn that list up. If that data is something that you want to make use of, you probably don't want to use the 3-line dialer because you want to make use of your leads. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So here you can choose your 3-line. Well, it looks like, and we just had a 20-minute conversation on it, but right now your broker doesn't have the 3-line dialer on. You only have the single line. But if you guys turned it on, then that would apply. Okay, so number of rings. So this is when you're calling, how many rings your dialer will let it ring before it moves on to the next call. I usually keep it at 4, 5, or 6. My psychology on this is if they don't answer by 4 or 5, 6 rings, if they do answer at 7, 8, 9, 10, they're probably not going to be too happy.
Yeah.
That's just my psychology. Now, is that fact? No. That's just opinion through experience. But you can toggle it here. You can toggle how many times it rings. Okay? Now, these settings, they're going to pop up every time you start a call session, right? But once you set it up, usually you kind of I usually stick with the same settings in most cases. But I want to point all this stuff out so you understand. Call scripts. There's going to be scripts built into Mojo that they have. And you can also upload your own. If you choose to have a script on the screen when you're calling, you can do that here. And if you want, you can select it to where it pops up as soon as they answer. There's a lead sheet that you can have pop up as well to put in information right there on Mojo, and you can play with that. And you can decide if it pops up by default automatically or not. And these different features here are just, filter out contacts that have future calls. So it's pretty straightforward. You can determine the functions of your dial session. Power dialer. So the click to call is when you kind of want to, like I just talked about, when you don't want to burn through your leads and you kind of want to just control what you're calling and not use a dialer, but you still want to call through Mojo. That's what the click to call is. I did a training video on that a few months ago, and I'll send that video over to you so you can watch the full video of how to set up a click to call session.
Okay.
So you can watch that and get schooled up on that. I did like a 15-minute video just how to start a click to call session. The power dialer is usually where I work from, so let's start a power dial session. Okay, so here's another settings screen. So here's a preview of the data you will call during the session. Data is missing. If data is missing, you want to make changes, go back and change your filters. So it's showing me that based on my filters, it took out 25 of the 100 records. Okay, let's see what those filters are. So the filters are no phones. It took out the ones with no phone numbers. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Can't call them anyways, right? So you would start a dial session. Now, most dialers you don't dial from the browser. RedX made it available with one of their features, but most dialers they give you a phone number that you go ahead and use your mobile device or another device to call, and so that's what you would do. I'll just do it. Not a big deal. All right. Let me go ahead and start a dial session real quick. Let's go there. So there's the pin. And anytime you have anything you want me to point out, or if you have questions, man, just jump in. But I'm just kind of running through the dial session. And when we get to that point, I think you had a question here on once you're in the dial session.
Please enter your PIN number. Your PIN number can be found in the dialing box on your screen. You are now logged into the Mojo dialer. Please press the start button on your screen to begin calling.
All right. So we're in the lead. So you said once you're in the dial session, you had a question about what?
No, pretty much you already answered.
What was it?
I wanted, if someone's waiting on the line, what happens and all this other stuff.
Oh, for the callback?
Yeah.
Okay, so the great thing is that you don't have to worry about it yet because they haven't turned on the 3-line dialer for you. So you won't have that, which is good. Initially, you'll just have the single line dialer. So we're looking at a lead. Let's say that they didn't answer. Let's say they did answer. Let's say it was a good call. So this is where you would put them into different groups. This is where you would move them out of the call list and move them into a group, future follow-up or whatever it may be, right? You can always create your own. Like if you want to have a different box here, you can do that. But it looks like your broker kind of already has them set up here. And so you would just move them into warm lead or whatever it was. Let's see here. Notes. Yeah, you take your notes here and it stays on the lead. One thing that I'll point out a few things here. Within the lead, you can... Let's see here. Okay, you set an appointment. Make sure you integrate it with your. If you haven't already, you can integrate Mojo with your email and your Google Calendar. You should be able to do that. But you can print the lead out. It's a hot sheet, so it doesn't actually print it out. What it will do is it will email you all the lead information. So you hit the printer button, and then you hit the hot sheet, and you can have the system email you the lead info. Then you'll get an email with all the lead hot sheet with all of your notes and all of that. And if you want, you can do a copy on it so it sends it to your broker too, or a teammate, or to me even. And within the lead, it's pretty self-explanatory. After a week or so, and you using it, we might have some stuff to work through. You might be like, "Oh man, how do you do this?" or "How do you do that?" But once you're in there maneuvering through it, you'll pick it up. It's pretty, you want to add a phone number, you want to add an email. It's pretty simple stuff. But as time goes on, if you need help with stuff, we can, figure it out as we go. Lead sheet. So this is, there's different. That's where you would, you can create your own lead sheet if you want. And you guys are going to have to create your own system as far as the type of lead information you're collecting. I rarely fill out that lead sheet. I'm just taking my notes right here usually. Let's see. Anything else I can point out here? Now, your broker can choose to. You said you guys were shopping for CRMs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So get with Mojo, and I would say, I would look at here. You see these? There's some integrations here. There's a lot of CRMs, real estate CRMs that will integrate with Mojo, which will make your guys' life easier if you're going to use Mojo. And your broker might already be on this, but over here in the integrations page, it will show you the different softwares that it will integrate with. Boomtown, Commissions Inc., Constant Contact, like all these guys on the left, these are all CRMs. They're not all. A few of them are CRMs. Follow Up Boss, Perfect Storm is good. Top Producer is old school, but it's still good. Wise Agent. So when you guys are shopping, say, hey, if you broker, if you didn't know, these are the ones that integrate with Mojo. Which ones are they looking at? Do you know?
I'm not quite sure.
Are they gonna? Will you'll get a seat kind of like this? They'll give you like an account.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking, will they?
Yeah.
Okay. When they do, we'll do a training on that and how to get best use of integrating what you're doing here with Mojo in your CRM, because that's important. Yes, man, I want to convert every single first call into an appointment or into a meeting. Does that happen? No. We need to have a good follow-up system. And so a lot of what we do, a lot of what I'm going to be helping you with is not just that first call, but what do I do after that first call? And how do I get that person back on the phone? How do I convert that? What do I say when I get them back on the phone? The follow-up process, right? And so that database, that CRM, whatever they set you up with, it's going to be important. And I'll work with you creatively on different things we can do, which will give you an edge using those tools to help to hopefully convert more. That's the idea. You have a good call with somebody, get them into the database. Not only you're going to continue following up like once a week or once a month with a phone call, but if they're getting emails from you, if they're getting text messaging from you, if they're getting stuff that's sent out automatically, which keeps your name in front of them, which keeps them updated with the market, mostly just keeping you on mind, keeping you on their mind. That's the important thing. While you're continuing to build out your business, you're keeping in contact with them through the technology. Have you integrated your Google account yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, when we get done, that's on your list. You should go here to your integrations and integrate your business email. Is that through a Google Suite?
No, I have my business emails through this company, the CBI one.
What do they do? What is it through? Is it through Google? Is it through?
Or not? That's just business. Let me see. Hold on.
What platform is the email?
To my MacBook.
Okay, so it's not a Google Business Suite. If you're able to integrate your business Google account, do it. I don't know about your personal account, but if you're Google, mostly the calendar feature, man. So your platform will integrate. So when you're setting appointments or callbacks, it integrates with your calendar. That's going to save you a bunch of double upping. So you don't have to set it in Mojo and then double up and put a reminder for yourself in your personal calendar. But you need to have reminders on your personal calendar outside of just your Mojo, is what I'm getting at. Because you're going to be able to set yourself a callback in Mojo, but it needs to be, you need to be notified. You know what I mean? You need to be able to get notifications, not just through Mojo. Okay, let's look at your account. Damn, you're a super user. All right, let's see here. That's not really important. Lead store, report, calendar. Okay, so when you start building up a pipeline, your calendar, you can actually do dial sessions for your follow-ups through your calendar. Oh, what did we lose there? Oh, we lost that call. No biggie. I forgot to hang up. So your callbacks will start going. Everything you do will start showing here. And so you can even work from your calendar if you want to do follow-ups. There will be a list of them here, and you can just do a dial session from here for your follow-ups if you want to do that. It's an easy way to do it compared to just grabbing one or two. Let's say you have 6 follow-ups for the day. You can just start a little dial session and just dial straight from your calendar, and that will make more sense after a couple of months when you have a bunch of follow-ups in here.
Okay.
Let me think here. What else do we need to look at? So, setting yourself some call, setting up some filters through like we did here, 90034 in Venice. I would say if you set yourself up like a half a dozen of those to start with, just to get yourself going, and then just kind of you really want to focus your time in on those lists, man. And then you kind of just pinpoint your time on instead of just bouncing around or having that giant list. Now you're more specific with a couple of areas. You're more targeted, you know. All right. Any questions? Anything like that? Anything you want me to cover? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to cover with this. I think we're almost there to the point where we've gone through the platform pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much just how to work it. That's my struggle right now.
How to work it? What do you mean? How to start a dial session?
How to work it and how to separate the lists
Okay, so which
from the area.
so what I've covered is that helpful?
Yes, definitely.
Separate. So what we've done covers what you would like to cover with the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything like how do I do this? Like that's what I'm getting at.
No, I mean, because I thought that they had the 3-dial one, but I guess not.
It's not too important. Don't feel like you're lacking on anything because you don't have it. If you request and they upgrade it, great. You don't need it right now. All the 3-line does is just gonna, at this point, don't worry about it. Okay. I'd almost rather you not have it to begin with for us, just for training, just to kind of ease into it. You know what I mean? It's more controlled with a single line dialer. We'll be able to work through stuff more. You won't get so overwhelmed with potentially people missing your call and then having to deal with somebody being frustrated. We don't have to deal with that yet. Let's work through with what we got right now. Is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
That's my thought. Let's try to keep this as simple as possible. If we added the 3-line dialer in, it would just be another piece of frustration that you may have to deal with right now of people being pissed off and you having to worry about that. And I don't even want to have to even think about that right now. I want to be able to I want to help simplify what you're doing. And really, now that we've gone through this platform, I want you to have at least a half a dozen of these call lists. So more 90034s or more Venices. And so when we get done, you should set some up for yourself. I I want you to, and have you already calendar out? Do you time block your call sessions every day? Like, do you have it on calendar?
We have like a center, so 9:30 to 11:30, and then another session, lunch, and then start over again. Like 1:30 to like 4.
That's your personal, or is that the team?
Usually the whole team.
Oh, so you guys are all grinding at the same time. Nice. Until what? Okay, so my concern is, okay, what time have you been cutting it off every day?
Usually at 4:30.
Man. Okay. Where are you with that? How do you feel about that? Because I need you dialing later in the day, man.
I should be doing way more.
I need you to be, I don't even care about the morning, really. Really, man, you need to be dialing from 4 to 7. Those are the prime times right now, I think. Are you allowed to be at the office after hours?
No.
No. You have to leave when they leave. I don't know about all that, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
And you have to be there every day.
I do.
How are you supposed to call in prime time?
Well,
We got to talk to your broker, man. That's going to be important.
yeah.
Because if you're leaving the office at 4 o'clock and driving an hour and a half, that's time when you need to be calling.
Yep. That's exactly why you like. That's the only bad part about like being far away.
So wait, they won't let you work at the office? You have to leave?
5:30 is usually the cutoff, and I mean I can continue. You know, it's just a bit weird to drive and talk on the phone.
No. Like, they make you leave the office. You can't say, hey, boss, can I stay until 8 o'clock and work?
Because usually downstairs they close the parking lot and all this other stuff. Close the doors.
Bro. All right. I understand the guy you work for is probably doing fine financially. But, man, you guys need to have the ability to work. That's like putting handcuffs on you, bro.
What about like weekends?
Well, yeah, man. I want you to be calling on the weekends. But I'm not gonna sit here and just give up on calling in the P. And we have to figure something out here, because really, for you, especially when you're new, your best call time is gonna be in the afternoon and in the evening, up until 8 o'clock. And like, yeah, once you get established and you start killing stuff, okay, great. Now you're a 9 to 5 guy. But man, when you're early in real estate, you really need to be a 9 to 9 guy. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, real estate is not a 9 to 5 job. Your broker doesn't have to work that time because he's doing just fine, I'm sure. I'm just thinking. Dude. What is your thought on all this?
I feel like I should kind of just run it through the whole day, in my opinion.
Now, okay, so we gotta just work with what we got for now. But I mean, so the latest that you can be at the office Monday through Friday is 5:30. Okay. So next week is the 17th. And the weekends, yeah, man, if you can work, definitely, especially when you're newer, you need to be calling on the weekends. If you can put in a couple hours on, really, I would say an hour, maybe two max on Saturday and Sunday. You know, if you can dedicate an hour, but an hour usually, you know, you'll have a little bit more than an hour. But if you can dial for an hour, that's going to pay huge dividends. You're going to be able to reach people on the weekends you maybe haven't been able to reach for a couple of weeks. You've been trying to reach out to. You're going to have a whole different group of people on the weekends that you couldn't speak to they don't answer during the week for some reason. Or the same thing, you'll have a different group of people that you'll be talking to when we figure out a way for you to be calling at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. But dialing from home, you're good with that, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely completely fine with that.
Yeah.
I
Man.
feel like it would make my life easier, honestly, than just waking up like 4, driving. You know, because traffic during the morning is quite a pain.
Okay, is there anything that you necessarily what is it that you have to do at the office that requires you to be there? Like, I understand what their mentality is, but are you doing anything physically at the office that actually requires you to be there that you can't do from home? Now, let's say their rule's not there. Is there anything that's stopping you from working at home?
No.
Okay. Well, at this point, we just need to work with what we got, because I mean, we can only, I can't trip on what I don't have the power to change. I try to stay within that, but that's something that we really need to look at. And so let's work with what we got right now. What we have is the ability to work up until 5:30. Fine. So that means that you should be dialing every day at least until 5. Okay, at least. And
I mean, I'll talk with them after this session.
and just say, hey, is it possible if I stay until 8 o'clock if I lock up and everything?
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that possible? You know, I'm ready to. I'm grinding here. You know, you're a part of the team. You know, you're an employee. I don't see why they shouldn't be able to issue you like security codes and all of that.
Yeah, it's just a lock, but I mean, downstairs is like security guards and everything else.
You know, it'd probably just have to be clear with them. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
it's not something out of the norm. People want to work past 5:30. You know, they're probably just used to people taking off at that time, so that's usually what they've been doing. But if they know somebody wants to stay later, I'm sure that they would make adjustments.
It's like a very 23rd floor right now. All the
Okay.
way up here. So it's like kind of like to get access to this floor, it's like you have to talk to a security guard and everything else.
Right. Well, then it all should be able to be coded to where the hours can be changed on all the security codes. I know how it is, man. But I'm not going to trip too much on that because there's nothing I can do. But let's do what we can to try to see if we can start working later. But man, whatever we can do. I mean, I'm not going to trip too much more on it. We got what we got. But just know that I really want you to be calling later in the day, and that's going to be helpful for you.
Okay. Let's see.
But that doesn't mean that it's not. We can still work with what we got. It's not like, oh, this is all going to be a failure because we can't work till 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so let's see here. When we get done here, some homework would be. What do you have on your list? What did you write down?
I have all this right here.
Right. So I want you to set up some more filters in there, like I showed you how to do.
Look into the neighborhood skip tracer.
Look into those tools.
Make a callback message, and then try to integrate my email to the thing if possible.
Don't worry about the callback message now because we don't have the 3-line. But let's set up a voicemail. Let's talk about that.
That's right.
Voicemail you want to have in there. You can even have a couple of different voicemails, but just something real simple. A professional voicemail, Luis Giovanni Hernandez, or whatever you want to say. And hey, just it doesn't have to be long, because keep in mind, like, I don't listen to voicemails. Most people don't. Sometimes they will, but just keep that psychology in your mind that people don't listen to voicemails much. But sometimes it's professional to have one. So having a pre-recorded voicemail is key. So then when somebody doesn't answer, you can just hit the button, drop voicemail, and then it will automatically drop the voicemail, and it will go to the next call for you.
Okay.
Just something simple. Hey, I was, Luis with CBI, and your phone number, and requesting a call back. That's usually all I do. But you want to have that voicemail in there. Let's see. Are you dialing? You're working today, right? It's only 11.
Yeah.
So you're going to get in there and make calls today?
Yep.
All right. So when the day is done, send me a couple of addresses for calls to listen to in your daily report. I want you to focus on your only focus is going to be, if you create a lead, great. If you set an appointment, great. But today, did you dial this morning?
Just a few.
Okay.
They're like deadline.
Why don't you just focus on making 100 calls every day?
Okay.
Because you don't have the 3 lines, so 200 is a little bit much to ask for right now. But on a regular day, 100 dials. 100 dials. I don't, if you have conversations, great. But if you have 100 calls over the next couple of days, we'll have stuff to work through.
Okay.
So when you email me, you can just say, just give me a little report. If you want, you can even go to your Mojo section. You don't have to do this because I have access, but you can always take a screenshot of the report and send it over. Not necessary though, because I can just go in and take a look. But I feel like if there's any pressure at all, it will help alleviate it by, initially, don't worry about anything. Don't focus on the commissions. Don't focus on the transactions. Literally, focus on making dials.
Just my main focus. Just want to get good at it.
Well, the biggest thing that's going to help you get there is repetition. Repetition, man. We do repetition, then we talk about it. Repetition, and we get better. The same type of situations will come up over and over and over, just with different circumstances with these different sellers. Okay. Initially, the one thing that's gonna, just going through the motions.
Yeah.
Getting hung up on, talking about it with me, having good conversations, talking about it with me. 100. If you have 100 phone calls a day between now and next Friday, that's 500 plus calls. Within those phone calls, we're gonna have stuff to talk about, and then we'll be able to help you improve. I don't care about the results, and I want you to try to get in that mindset right now, that understanding that you're doing something in life at 25 years old that a lot of people don't even have the guts to do, man. You've made the venture away from the W-2 world into the real estate world with no guarantees. You're venturing out, investing in yourself in some training with some guy that you just found online. You're taking the leap, man. You're ready to do it, and you're right there. So at this point,
it's like, I just can't just jump the gun.
You're right there. And so at this point, just keep going on pace. Focus on the dials. Focus on absorbing. Focus on staying positive. Because at this point, these 100 calls in the next few days, they probably won't result to anything besides you having repetition. I'm okay with that. You need to be okay with that. If we get deals, great. But I know that the value of this next week and us working together and over the next few months, man, it's going to be night and day. So there's no pressure. There really isn't. Just focus on the dials and focus on getting better because you've already made the steps to get there. It's already in the works, you and I. It's just a matter of going through the motions and having some time pass by, right?
Yeah.
Just because we're only doing our call once a week does not mean that I'm not accessible. You can shoot me a text. You can hop into my videos I do, and as normal. You can shoot me an email. I don't go away just because we're not having our meeting. Okay, I'm gonna stay accessible to you. So don't be afraid to reach out.
Okay.
You utilize me. If I don't respond, I don't respond. But reach out. I will get back to you. I'm here to help. You're part of my focus. And if I don't jump on it right away, does not mean that I'm ignoring you. Okay.
Okay.
So use me as a resource, man. Know where my strengths are. Know where I'm. And feel free to dig at it and say, hey, I need help with this, or hey, what do you think about this? Anything, man. I'm here.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, what? How do you feel? How do you feel after this call? Questions, thoughts? Where are you at?
Much more better.
All right.
I didn't have that Mojo Dollar whatsoever from like just a few hours ago.
So that helps.
Yep, it did for a lot.
Great.
'Cause I was going from like Excel to like trying to separate and cut everything and then posting it in there. But now I didn't know anything about the one that you just did about like separating
Yeah.
and making it into a separate list.
And the more you use it, you're gonna learn more about it. Like, oh, I can do that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's gonna save me time there. So,
Mhm.
cool, man. Well, let me know if I can help. Have a good Friday, and we'll connect later.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Luis.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Thank you for joining the session. Once again, I am Jeremy Marquez with J Marqeting. You've just witnessed a session of Power Prospecting. Power Prospecting is my training program where I work with realtors, brokers,